the heart of Texas lies the home of Richard Garriott, a video game mogul whose house is a real-life version of the fantasy-filled medieval times featured in his games.
Hey, come right on in. Welcome to my home. I call this place Brittania Manor.
And Richard's pad is a veritable treasure trove of hidden passageways leading to secret rooms filled with oddball artifacts and collections.
I grew up reading things like Lord of the Rings or the Chronicles of Narnia, and became fascinated with secret worlds. A lot of my games include portals or gateways where this person from Earth finds your way to my fantasy worlds, just like the experience of going through the house.
But before we even find any secret spaces, Richard's house is pretty impressive. It's a multi-million-dollar, 6,000 square foot hilltop manor spread out over 3 stories in Austin, Texas. So far, so normal, right?
If you look at my house, it actually looks like a fairly, relatively speaking, normal house, other than the pirate flags and the gargoyles. The shape of the house is fairly traditional, and the bedrooms are relatively traditional. The hidden rooms and these little secret passageways are where the house transforms.
Once you enter the front door of Brittania Manor, you find yourself standing in the middle of a grand hallway. And we're not the only ones getting a sneak peek at this puzzling house today. Richard's friend Opal is about to get herself entangled in this mansion of mazes.
Okay, you ready?
Sure.
So if you turn around.
Okay.
Now come with me.
Okay.
Now, do you remember where you were? What room were we starting in?
We are in the kitchen. Yes.
Okay, so if you hang on, now from now on you have to be very careful, okay? Take one small step towards me.
Okay.
Okay, now you have to step down about 1 foot.
Hey, why is that a hole in the pantry?
That's the secret.
I'm getting scared.
Well, that's a good thing. Now, stay right there for a second.
Okay.
I got one more secret passageway to enter. Now, if you will wait right here, I'll be right back. Okay, Opal?
Yes?
Take off your blindfold.
Okay, let me see. Okay, where are you, Richard?
Up here, look up, look up.
Hey, how did you get up there?
Well, the question is, more importantly, how did you get down there?
Richard's brought his friend Opal here to his science room, access via a hidden secret spiral staircase and trick panels. So while she tries to figure out how to get out of there, Richard's upstairs to show us one of the tricks.
And it turns out the secret lies in the most elaborate of the secret passageways we've built into the house, which involves magnetic sensors that have been recessed into this surface. We drilled up from below into this cabinet, installed a series of 18 of them here, and in this little eyeballs and teeth guide that my mother made me when I was younger, I've installed magnets. And so if I now move this in the correct pattern over the correct sensors, you hear that little click means that we now have access to a secret passageway which is built into this panel.
And this secret passageway is at the heart of Brittania Manor, literally. It occupies a centrally located hidden chamber that rises the full height of the home and offers access to 4 of the home's secret spaces. But before we check out these rooms, in case you were worried, Opal is fine and found her way out.
Hey, I found it.
Okay, back to our tour.
So there's a little secret entrance into this staircase from all the rooms on all the levels. The most complex part of it was using a crane to lower in the 3-story tall spiral staircase that fits inside of this. Then the fun part, which was figuring out all the little hidden latches and methods to enter that space.
If you follow Richard's secret spiral staircase all the way to the end, you'll find yourself here, in the dungeon.
The dungeon itself is really just done for play. This room is 3 floors below the main house. In fact, this room wasn't even part of the original design. It was one of the first spaces I added in, realizing I needed more space to display the variety of collections that I have. Magical artifacts or skeletal remains or macabre pieces of artwork. You know, the dungeon's just a perfectly good place to display them. The wood panel wall just kind of gave it a sense of an old world feel, plus the stone seemed appropriate for a dungeon environment.
Speaking of appropriate for a dungeon environment, meet Richard's friend, Pedro, a skeleton, just one of Richard's many quirky collectibles.
I've kind of used the story of Pedro to help disguise and hide other kind of secret stashes here. We have grave niches around this room. This one is Pedro's, and it's set up to utilize this object, which is also a magnetic key that I've used to trigger this little grave niche, which is where I have built in a wall safe.
Richard's wall safe counts as a secret space inside a secret space. And the dungeon surprises don't end there.
We've built cabinetry where there might be a hollow, like right here, it's hollow behind here. And so I take the same magnetic key, I happen to know that right there is the secret place to place it, and that releases this latch and lets us in here to something I just acquired quite recently.
This piece is under wraps, but all around the rest of the secret dungeon, Richard displays some of his more curious collections from his travels around the world.
This is actually an ozone generator, and it really does generate ozone. Kind of smells like a thunderstorm. This is a vampire hunting kit. It includes all the essential ingredients for hunting or protecting yourself from vampires, including these silver-tipped quarrels in case we run into werewolves along the way.
But there's more. We haven't seen all that this house is hiding.
Hidden rooms give you something to discover.
And building an even bigger house with the most elaborate secret spaces yet.
There's subterranean passageways, rooms that the whole walls turn around and you end up in a different room than you started in.
And then, how about a kit to make your own secret passageway?
There's a secret switch embedded in the book, and it opens the secret door automatically.
Plus, remember the monsters? These people do, complete with a secret lab and a hidden phone booth. Next, Richard Garriott's Mansion of Mazes, otherwise known as Brittania Manor, is full of mystery and was a childhood dream.
I wanted a house with an observatory, with secret passageways, all the things that I've actually built into this house. For me, hidden rooms are not to conceal anything as much as they are to give you something to discover that is the most fun aspects of these hidden spaces.
We're on the lowest level, just off the dungeon room, because Richard's got a more traditional secret space hiding around here somewhere.
So come on in. This is the second of the secret rooms here off the vertical staircase that we snuck down. I actually started my collecting of wine back when I was in college here in Austin. You might think the cellar and secret passageways would be impractical, but in this case it's actually perfectly useful. I can pop down through the spiral staircase if we're making dinner, come and grab, for example, the 84 Camus, one of my favorites, and we can just sneak right back up the staircase, pop open the trap door, and you're right there in the pantry in the kitchen, ready for dinner.
And just beyond the wine cellar is a hidden entrance to yet another secret space. And finding it is kind of like banging your head against a brick wall.
We have to find a way through this brick wall. There's no doorknob, there's no magnetic latches. This one might seem tricky, but in fact it's actually one of the easiest. All you do is find this little brass pull ring hidden in the corner, and that gives us access here to the science room. So here in the lower floor of the study is where I keep a lot of my antique scientific instruments. And one of my very favorite things to collect are these clockwork oraries. And these are all mechanical models of the solar system. This device is putting out now about 300,000 volts. In fact, it's kind of raising the hairs on the back of your arm if you're not too careful.
So the dungeon, wine room, and science room make up the lowest level of Richard's home. But one floor up, there's another very unassuming way to access the hidden spiral staircase and get to these rooms. This may look like a regular closet in a regular room.
This shoe rack that you see here mounted against the wall actually has its own little secret. Pull on this tab, which allows this to swing forward and allows me to disappear through this secret passageway. This shoe rack, even though it's quite massive, it only takes a little bitty pull string here to pull this little latch because the weight rides here on this piano hinge. When this swings forward, it allows us into the tall vertical passageway.
Seems simple enough, right? So how much does all this stuff cost a millionaire with an overactive imagination anyway?
We've got a couple of hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in all the secret spaces in this house, compared to the millions of dollars of value for the total property.
Richard's good friend, Greg Dykes, helped with the design scheme.
There has to be a puzzle to solve, and if you can see it, there's no puzzle. Having all the secret passages link all the different rooms and being able to secretly move through the entire house was just important.
If you're trying to conceal a doorway, it needs to close truly flush and be truly invisible and not even move if you touch it to not give away its presence. There was a fair bit of experimentation and tinkering required.
And believe it or not, he has begun construction on a bigger mansion, one that's tricked out with even more secret spaces and interactive features. And when all is said and done, and hidden, will be a one-of-a-kind living space.
Richards is throwing everything into it. It's a much more elaborate construction. There's subterranean passageways, rooms that the whole walls turn around and you end up in a different room than you started in. There's going to be a system that can control everything by Richard's voice. Each one will be its own different game.
In other words, Richard's new secret spaces are going to be pushing the envelope, even for him. And that's saying something.
This is a great deal of fun for me, the variety of secret passageways, things to unlock, things to unfold, things to discover.
Still to come.